Hello, my friends. Pearl of Wisdom here from RNJ Media. And today, we're on to the LA Kings season preview and predictions. We have been doing, I just did Philadelphia Flyers are on RNJ Media. They're still working on the website. They're still working on my actual channel that I'll be using, but I want to get all these out, so I'm going to do it on this channel now, but be watching for the new link for my new channel with R&J. Yeah, we'll be looking at the LA Kings and the predictions for the year, their roster. They've made some interesting moves on defense, and a lot of people think they're weaker than they were last year. Could be, but we'll take a look at that. But before I do, remember, hit the like button and subscribe. Also, be watching for me on the Ice Guys. I'm on Monday and Wednesdays when the season starts, which is coming up real soon. I'm so excited. But watch them anyways. It's voted the best sports podcast in North America last year. So obviously the best hockey podcast in North America last year. It's a lot of fun. The Ice Guys. Go check it out and subscribe. All right. Let's look at the LA Kings and make some predictions for them for the year, shall we? Bringing up Puckpedia. Going to go from line to line, defense, and, of course, goaltending. Depth chart, move it over here. All right. All right, so let's first look at, this is how they have the lines set up on Puckpedia, and it's pretty much the lines that they were playing in the playoffs, so I don't think they're going to stray too far away from this, so we'll go with it. First, Andrei Kuzmenko, who they picked up from Philadelphia last year, and he fit in really well. Not a bad left winger. He about average, maybe playing a little high in the lineup that you would in most lineups, but he provides everything you need in a player. He's about average defensively. His game is awesome in the sense that he drives to the net a lot. Like, he scores a lot of his goals like on his knees, driving towards the net, and that was something that was missing from LA's lineup. He fit in really well. Good player. Nothing wrong with him at all. He's a guy that kind of struggled in Calgary, went to Philadelphia, didn't really blow anybody out of the water there either, but came to LA and all of a sudden looked really good. So 37 points in 66 games. Good little compliment to Kopitar and Kempe, who also play on his line. Anze Kopitar, this is going to be his last year. And remember that, because I'm going to talk about that fact as we talk about the projection for LA this year. Still a well above average center. He's not elite anymore defensively like he used to be, but he's still really good. Still provides that 60 to 70 point offense to go with just being a great captain, great motivator, just a great player. He's going to be a first ballot as far as I'm concerned. I've always loved Anze. I'm really kind of sad that he's retiring this year. I love those guys that like play till the wheels fall off, but he's got a family, and he said that he's given a lot to the game. He feels it's time to give to his family now. I totally get that. I'm not putting him down for that. But I sort of have a soft spot for players that just keep on playing until they can't play anymore. Anyways, this is going to be huge motivation for the LA Kings. Playing for Anze, I think, this year. So you're starting to see where I'm going as far as what kind of a year that they have. Adrian Kempe, just elite shot, man. Freaking elite shot. Good defensive player, good three-zone player, and you're going to hear that a lot with when we go through this lineup with the LA Kings. They're full of players like Adrian Kempe. This compete level is awesome. He can play right, he can play left. He does seem to be better on the right side as a left-handed shot. As far as offense is concerned, he's the kind of player that can fly down the wing. He's got good speed and shoot from that perspective. He's good at finding rebounds that come out right to the slot to his left-hand shot and picking corners, and that's just natural, man. That's just total instinct of players that do that. There's a lot of players in the past that have made their living off of that, where they scored most of the goals. But Adrian Kempe, a good example is Andrewchuk. Andrewchuk was amazing at that. He would be a little closer to the front of the net, but guys made their living that way. Pat Verbeek is another one that did a lot of that. But Adrian Kempe can kill you in more than one way, and I love him. He's a great player, excellent first line. Not what you would call elite first line. I put Kempe's shot as elite, but I wouldn't necessarily put him like elite player when you're talking about the Draisaitl's, McDavid's, McKinnon's, and guys like that. But as far as the top line goes, this is super solid. Second line, we got Kevin Fiala, who, as a second liner, an elite second liner, he could play on on a lot of teams' top lines, but elite second liner and off the charts defensively, except that he does usually play against a little lower competition. They really play Fiala in more spots against opposition's lower lines a little more than they do like Kempe and Kuzmenko. I mean, Fiala's defensive analytics look better than Kempe's, but Kempe plays against a lot tougher competition, so sort of balance itself out a little bit. But anyways, doesn't matter. Great three-zone defensive player, same as Kempe. More of a high volume shot player than Kempe, as he shoots from just about anywhere. But he's really smart at getting into spots to shoot from. His desire from the blue line in, especially, is absolutely excellent. He's not afraid to sacrifice the body to get into the spots that he needs, and he doesn't get injured very often either. So he's tough. These are not what you call tough, gonna beat you up guys like Kempe or Fiala, or Kuzmenko, but they're very committed to their craft and what they do, and they may not pound you physically, but they're not afraid of physicality at all. They're very courageous players, is a good way to put it. Quentin Byfield and Alex Laferriere fill out this line. Quentin Byfield, 23 years old. I was thinking he was going to be like a point a game guy, and maybe he will be. Still got room to grow. But again, the thing that he doesn't get enough credit for is he is awesome defensively. He does play against lower competition, but every year they've been the LA has been building him up to play against tougher competition. And I have a feeling this year he's going to have even more of that, because with Anze Kopitar retiring, they're going to need to really boost the Byfield's effect on the game to game, and they're really going to have to put him in that position this year. So I think he's going to see a lot more difficult competition, shutting down teams' top lines. I really love Quinn Byfield. I too, like a lot of people, thought he might provide more offense by this time. But even if he doesn't provide much more offense, even if he is like a 60 to 70 point guy that plays as well as he does defensively and three-zone intelligence, he's a great playmaker. His shot's he's more of a playmaker than a shooter. But when you have a guy like Fiala on your line, that's not bad. And then you have a guy like Alex Laferriere, who is not really what I would call like the three-zone defensive guy. He's a go get the puck guy. And that's something that they don't have a lot of in their lineup as well until we get to the third line. But in their top six, he is basically the only guy that is kind of that grinder in the corner type player that they've been looking for quite some time. So he fits really well on this line. I'm just looking up, you know what, Alex Laferriere. Yeah, he's average defensively though. He plays against average competition, doesn't play on the PK, but he's a grinder type guy. He's got good moves too. He's not the greatest shot in the world, but good moves, and he can go to the net, deke out goaltenders. He's a perfect complementary player. He's a really good complementary player, and for that line, he's perfect for what they need. You got the great goal scorer that can score in many ways, shoots from everywhere. You got the great defensive big center that can shut down lines, and Leferrier gets out the puck to a guy like Byfield. Byfield gets the puck to Fiala, and that's kind of how that line goes, and it's effective. Last year they were excellent. Even in the playoffs, I'll get into my feelings about the playoffs last year. Actually, I'll get into it now. Last year, for some reason, I don't know, Hiller shortened his bench against Edmonton like ridiculous amounts. And he was way overplaying guys like Fiala and Kempe. And by the time they got to like game 6, they were bagged. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what he was doing. You got a team that as I continue talking about this team, it's deep. And they were not playing. He was overplaying his top players. I didn't get it. Also, I had LA to beat Edmonton, so I was pretty pissed about it, watching it happen. But let's get to the third line with Foegele, Dano, and Trevor Moore. Excellent third line. I would say this is one of the best third lines in the league. Foegele is a fantastic three-way defenseman. I cried when Edmonton traded him. Or I think they let him go, right, because they didn't have cap space. But I won't get into that because they actually kind of did. But Philip Dano has been known for being a great, excellent third-line center for a long time, one of the best third-line centers in the league. Great playmaker, doesn't have the best shooting capacity in the world, but for a third-line guy, this guy's mint. And Trevor Moore, same thing. These guys are all just excellent players for third line. If you were to make a prototypical third line that is just third line players, but you can put them up and down the lineup if you want. Like Trevor Moore plays up on the top line every once in a while. If somebody's injured or whatever, he fills in just fine. He can play left, he can play right wing, and he plays them both equally as well. Warren Foegele plays up there every once in a while, depending on what they're trying to do. If they're trying to hold a lead, or if they want a little more grinding on the second line, or what have you, he mixes and matches, and he does it like almost effortlessly. And so does Trevor Moore. I love this third line. It's like the perfect third line. So the top 9 here, to me, is one of the best top 9s in the league as far as depth is concerned. I would say top 5 for sure. And we'll get into the fourth line, but that Hiller had no faith in last year at all. So maybe he might this year based on how it's put together. But this top 9, with a top 9 like this, and I really think that teams are going to start focusing on building their team this way. With cap space always being a problem, and I know the cap's going up, but it will be a problem again, and it'll be soon. They're going to overpay players, they're going to be up to the cap, and you're going to have problems. Building wingers are a lot easier to find than defensemen. Defensemen cost a lot more. So if you can build a top 9 like this, where you have pretty much every player being average or better three-way defensively, and are very coachable to play a coach's system to get back and help the D, you don't have to pay your D as much. And in a cap world, that is really, really effective. There's a team that does this and has won 2 cups in a row. It's called the Florida Panthers. So I think you're going to see more of this. I think this team is well constructed from that perspective in their top 9. Fourth line. Right now they have Jeff Mallett there. I actually liked Andre Lee in this role, in this spot. I don't know enough about Mallett except for the fact that he's a 29-year-old guy. He's really big, and he can chuck them if you let him, but For a 29-year-old guy that hasn't put huge points up in the AHL, I find it kind of odd that he's here in this spot with Puckpedia. But like I said, I don't know much about him. My guess would be he's not all that great. Alex Turcotte, though, yeah, he played way too high in the lineup last year. That was pretty obvious. But they gave him his shot, and it didn't really work out all that well. That being said, as a center on the fourth line, he is very, very good. Again, you're going to hear this again. Very good three-way defensively. If you don't let him, if he doesn't play up against top competition, he didn't play against the lightest of competition last year. And here, in the fourth line role, if they do keep it like this, he gets to play against weaker competition, and he becomes a shutdown factor in those lower lines. And I think it's a great spot for him. He's making fourth line money, so just adds to this depth in LA. They went and got Joel Armia from Montreal. I believe it was Montreal, or was it Ottawa? Anyways, perfect spot for him too. Big guy. This lineup has a good mix of size too, by the way. It's not like, when you think, for some reason when I think of LA, I think they're a small team, maybe because you got guys like Kempe, but Kempe is not that small. He plays a little smaller. Kevin Fiala's on the small side, but for the most part, these forwards have some pretty good size. They're just not bruisers. That's the thing, is you don't really have the bruisers. So I think that's maybe why they're giving Mallet such a shot here to be that type of player. Turcotte's not a big guy, but he's a very smart player. He's very intelligent, and I like him on the fourth line here. And Joel Armia, a little over his head on the third line. It was with Montreal, but he's a pretty good fourth liner. He's not bad. This overall depth on this lineup is fantastic, and I think in the playoffs, if their coach Hiller actually uses the depth that they have, they should have success this year, especially when you consider this is Anze Kopitar's last year. This is going to put a lot of focus this year on this team having success. As long as they don't burn themselves out in the regular season and they play a smart, like through they treat it like a marathon rather than just flying out there every single game and burning them out. Very important thing for NHL teams, as you see with teams like Tampa and Florida, where they sit guys later in the season. They play a much more perimeter game in a lot of games where they're playing against weak competition, so they don't engage all that much physically. All of this stuff adds up when it comes to the playoffs. And I think LA is going to have to take that approach, although I can't really say they did so last year. Now, going to the defense. This is where it gets shady, for sure. They lost Gavrikov, which hurts. Like, flat out, I can't sugarcoat that. It hurts, and there wasn't really much of a replacement here. Mikey Anderson and Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty, as his age, is still an above-average defenseman, solid defensively. Character, leadership, all of that. Love him, no doubt about it. Great, excellent first liner. And Mikey Anderson is your prototypical shutdown defenseman, except he's not very big. He's just extremely smart. Mikey Anderson might be one of the smartest defensemen in the league, to tell you the honest truth. He doesn't have the greatest size, but he's never out of position. Like, I've watched him specifically a lot because I was like, what is it with Mikey Anderson? I thought, he's not that big. He doesn't provide much offense. He's not what you would call a normal shutdown defenseman, but he just doesn't make any mistakes. He's always in the right position all the time. He doesn't overcommit in the offensive zone ever, it seems. He's just perfect that way, and a great compliment to Drew Doughty. So as a top pairing defense, this is really good. Now we get to the little problem. They have Joel Edmondson and Cody Ceci on the second pair, and Demelin and Clark. This better not be the case. Brian Demelin has to be up here, especially if Cody Ceci's on the right. But we'll get into Brian Demelin first. like Mikey Anderson, Brian Demolin is sort of a poor man's Mikey Anderson. He doesn't have all that much offense, but he's one of those guys that's rarely out of position. He's very good at killing penalties too. Excellent penalty killer. But if there's anything to do with defense, Demolin is way underrated. People don't really, not too many people think of Demolin as being a very good player, but he is a good second pair LD. So I did like that pickup. And then, of course, Cody Ceci. Kenny Holland and Cody Ceci. I don't know, man. Wherever this guy goes, Cody Ceci's got to come with him. And yeah, Cody Ceci's not that great of a defenseman. Now, last year, his analytics looked brutal. That being said, he played in San Jose, and he played against, like, very top competition. His competition rating is about 80% above replacement. So that means he was, like, playing against, way over his head. In this role, it's still not going to be good. I'd still call him a below average second pair by quite a bit. But it's not going to look as bad as it was. And I'm pretty sure he'll get less deployment, easier deployment. With Demolin, I mean, it's still a below average pair. But it's not, like, crazy, I guess. The only thing is I don't know who's going to move the puck in that situation. But I guess Joel Edmondson, well, let's just talk about Joel Edmondson. He's bad. He's bad. He used to be a great play driver, and you don't think about that, offensive play driver. Doesn't really get a lot of points, but he can skate the puck out very, very well. That's always been the MO for Joel Edmondson. That's not what people think of when they think of Joel Edmondson, because they see he doesn't have many points, so he must be a defensive defenseman. But he's actually not good defensively, never has, and he's getting worse. So I would rather him down in the third pair where he plays against lighter competition, and he can use his speed or his skating ability to skate the puck out now more at his age, because he is, 30? He's only 32. Jeez, I look at him out there, he looks like he's 36 or 37. So I would say play both of these guys down in the bottom. Ceci and Edmondson, play them in that 5-6 spot until you can find somebody better. They've got about $3 million in cap space. They have a lot of. They actually have not bad prospects and younger players that they could use in a trade. As far as draft picks are concerned, what do they have? They got their first and their second, so they can improve their defense through the season. And as I was already saying, with that top 9, especially in the regular season, they don't need to have a spectacular defense, but it would be nice to improve it for sure. Of course, we haven't talked about Clark, who's a burgeoning, very, very good defenseman. Last year, he played against weaker competition again. They've been really spoon-feeding him into the league, which has been kind of frustrating to LA fans. And I think that's simply because Hiller has a veteran bias. I'm going to say it that he really, I wouldn't know if you call it a bias, but he really believes in taking young players very, very slow. Spence last year, who, like I said, you had guys like Edmondson last year in the playoffs playing 35 minutes, and a young guy like Spence played 5. You can't be playing Edmondson 35 minutes a night. You got to give the kid just the fresh legs alone to take some minutes to help other guys be more effective. Anyways, it was brutal. It was a horrible thing. If he does it again, I don't know. I don't know how he's not fired, to tell you the honest truth. But Brandt Clark is a solid right D. He played against, again, because, not just because Hiller, maybe he needs to. Maybe he needed to play against lower competition. I don't know. But he did it very well. And he's got a lot of offensive upside. He's a good he's turning into a good all-around player. And I hope for LA's sake that him and Demolin can play on that 2 or 3-4 spot, because I don't want Edmondson and Ceci there. Never. No, I don't want it. And so I'm thinking they put Demelin and Clark there, and it's not a great team. Don't get me wrong, it's not. But when you got top 9 forwards, okay, I want to get into this. The reason why it's so effective to have so many 3-zone defensive players is they come back there. They don't overdo it in the offensive zone. It's always in the back of their head that they need to get back to their spots in the neutral zone and the D zone. And in this case, they also are going to have to help out their defense. They're going to have to get down low, give them easy passes, maybe even dig for the puck with them, which all of these guys are willing to do. So if you have that kind of a team, it doesn't hurt you quite as much if you have a defense like this. But I do think they will need to improve it. But I also think they have pieces and should be able to establish enough cap space over time this year, because you won't be able to do it next year by putting players down in the minors, bringing them up, people get injured, that they can find a better defenseman to play in these spots and have a pretty solid team. Darcy Kemper has played very well ever since he came from Washington. He is 35 years old and he's had injury history. So that's always worrisome. They did pick up Anton Forsberg, who is about as backup of a backup as you can get. He has moments where he looks absolutely awesome, and then he has moments where he like string of games where he's pretty meh. But if you don't give him all that much, like if you just play him like 30 games, he's effective in the regular season. But if Kemper gets injured, could be some issues here for sure. But whatever it is, it's not going to be enough issues that LA doesn't make the playoffs. To me, LA makes the playoffs pretty much for sure. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Vegas, much the same as last year. And I don't normally do that. Vegas, LA, Edmonton, and LA plays Edmonton in the first round. Edmonton, I just did Edmonton. You can go check it out. I think they need to add to their lineup before the playoffs if they're going to play this LA team. Yeah, I know they beat them 3 years in a row, but they shouldn't have beat them last year. And they're not as good. Edmonton's not as good this year as they were last year. I know LA's isn't, but the reason why LA isn't is more a defensive issue that I think that they can solve. The reason why Edmonton isn't is their forward depth is very poor. And when it comes right down to it, in this day and age, with the way the league is now, I'll take a team with top 9 3-zone defensive players like this that can score over a top-heavy offensive team like Edmonton. I took them last year and I was wrong, though, so maybe you shouldn't listen to me. So basically, I think, well, that's it. I think LA is probably second in their division and could very well, if they get the ball rolling and they get the right pieces, and maybe if Hiller gets fired, although if he didn't get fired last year, I don't think he will. And if he does get fired, it might be because LA is so far behind that they can't get back. So he's probably going to be there. But I lean that LA has a chance next year. They get past the first round. They get that ball rolling. They're playing for Kopi. They're playing for Kopitar. There's going to be a lot of heart and emotion in this season for LA. And I think there's going to be a lot of focus to give Kopitar a real good chance to win another cup before he takes off. So I think LA could surprise this year. All right, thanks for listening. Perlo's NHL POW on Twitter. Come follow me over there. You can get all my content. When I start doing picks for the NHL. Actually, if you go into my community group on my profile, there's a group there. You can get my futures I've already made this year. I got a couple juicy ones there for you that you can play. And you can get a lot of picks there. You're going to be able to get picks when I start up my YouTube channel. And you'll be able to get my premium picks. And it's not going to cost much, guys. Like, I don't like charging a lot for picks. I like everybody to be able to make money. So it's going to be like $20 a month or something like that. So get yourself hooked up. Talk to you later. Tell me what you think in the comment section of all the stuff I just said. And I'll get back at you for the next NHL team at RNJ Media. Okay.